All right. Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Hi, welcome back.
Hello.
And now we are going to have one of our cerebral discussions of divinity and madness. To me, that just sounds like Aquarius right at the beginning. Greatness and
Coming of
madness.
the age of Aquarius.
So I look at Aquarius as being, yes, that does fit. I mean, Aquarius is like the puzzle. It's the puzzler. It picks out puzzles, solves puzzles. That's what it does. It sees the entire universe as a puzzle by itself. Not every Aquarius is like that, but their life is going to be like that. Their life is going to be a puzzle to them. Their life is going to be a disjointed experience of many different, unique, fascinating things. Whereas, like a Libra, we're sitting here like, oh, no, oh, yes. We're being pulled in many directions and trying to harmonize all the chaos. Scorpios have pressure coming in on them. Like it's literally like it's all coming at me all at once. And they're like fighting it off and protecting themselves and vigilant and awake and mastering the chaos. And then you have Virgos who are constantly feeling critical focus. Like a Virgo is gonna feel like everything has to be in perfect place. Now it may not be the same thing that another Virgo likes. Some people might want it perfectly out of place, but they're going to have a set of standards and goals that they must follow or they'll go crazy. Their house of cards will fall apart. So yeah, but but to tie it all into
What about Gemini? You went through
Yes,
every
you
you went through
missed you
everybody
missed
except
Gemini.
yes, Gemini has to keep up. Gemini is like Super Mario Brothers. Gemini is like, whoa, too many tasks all at once. I must master them all or I am going to fall apart. Now, Virgo's more like, I have to hold still and make this perfect or I'll fall apart. Gemini is more like, I better run. I better book it and I better keep up with all the chaos in my life by staying on top of it and mastering one skill and one idea and going from one conversation to the next. And it drives them crazy. And then they progress into Cancer.
oh, I hope not.
Nice.
Well, you're in Leo now. I mean, I'm pretty sure you've progressed into Leo, so you're in your Leo phase of life. But every
In
form of
three.
zodiac sign and combination has its own type of madness. As Seal said, you're never going to survive if you're not a little crazy.
I like that.
How far does how far crazy does it push us then?
It's all relative to the reality.
Because that's what I was about to say. Reality shifts for all of us to admit that, first of all, to admit that there is divine is a stretch in reality, you know?
Well, I mean, an atheist can believe in the divine. A divine thing is an ideal thing. It's a standard that we set, and it's relative to us. Divine is the ideal state of harmonious well-being that we all seek, but we don't all seek the same one. So there you go.
I do not feel like, you know, some of the incestual deities. I feel more like that it's that deities are not necessarily things that we need to attain, but are I don't know what they are. They are personified lessons.
Yeah,
You know?
they're parts of the universe that are there for us, and they're foundations in the universe. Doesn't mean we're supposed to become them. They're just it's just like a forest. It's like forest can be beautiful forever and divine, but do I want to be a tree? I want
Actually,
to be around.
I've thought about that. I would want to be a tree.
Well,
And
that aside, maybe we do want to be a tree, but there are beautiful things. Do you want to be a palace? Palaces are beautiful. Beautiful palace. Do I want to be a palace?
Is it haunted?
if
As
it's
long as it's
haunted,
haunted, that then I'm down. I'm down if it's haunted.
Well, we'd all be the same thing if we all had the same prototype, you know?
Boring. Yeah.
Boring
Droids.
with an umlaut
We'd be
O.
droids. Well, reality would be inert because we wouldn't have diversity and with which to exchange and build things to grow.
I
To
would like to
build.
earlier. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, please.
Like earlier when we were discussing the innate energy of objects, for instance, how everything emits a signal, everything emits a specific energy, and it wouldn't be there unless somebody had manifested it. So I was referring to earlier, we were discussing about innate energy and how objects flow and how they exert a certain degree of energy themselves because somebody somewhere had to have manifested this. So energy was put into it. So how can you remove energy from something, no matter what object it is? It could be something as remote as a musical instrument or something like a doorknob or a tree, but all of these living things, there's a certain degree of anatomy to them. They have a beautiful anatomical structure, and the stardust flows through us all and flows through everything.
So we think of the collective unconscious as being within us. It is actually outside of us. The Kabbalah and Hermeticism teach literally that the further outwards from the inner truth you go, the more unconscious it's going to be. So all the elemental forces, they have degrees of consciousness, but not like us. So this is a projection onto a screen that we're watching. And not just the computer, not just the viewers watching us right now, but literally reality is a holographic projection of the inner light, of the inner indwelling deeper realities fundamental to our existence. And out here is the collective unconscious. And that's why we're able to share this reality. Because if I pick up something and I put it down, that dream structure is going to remain in the matrix for somebody else who is wandering in their subjective reality to observe according to their substrates. So you've got to remember that not everybody sees or reality the same. Everybody's in their brain, looking through their eyes. So what you're looking at with me is a simulation in your mind of a thought form that I represent and that you are interacting with through your lens. So really, we could all be existing in different time frequencies and time sequences, and we wouldn't know. We're just converging in this reality. Now, the outer realm is the projected collective unconscious.
In a lot of traditions, you have the God self, the bit of you that's not like the Holy Spirit or the Ori, and these are what wake you up to spirituality and to Akashic records. As Aristotle said, that all the Akashic records are like a harp, and you just have to pluck the right chord.
When I leave a part, if I move this this computer screen, right?
Mm-hmm.
It is a thought form and an action projected out into the collective dream that will then manifest in another consciousness. It's not that it's not conscious unto itself or divine. It's that it is the other consciousness. It is the projected consciousness that I am not aware of, which is why it represents the collective unconscious, because it is a domain unto itself outside of me. Well, it's not that
there's a rabbinical saying that he who saves a life saves a world.
Yeah.
And they believe that each one of us create our own realities and our own worlds.
Mm-hmm.
That is a traditional Kabbalistic view. The tree of life is a view of how consciousness manifests outwards into the universe through the planes and through the many dimensions and spheres.
What type of mitzvah is that?
A
blessing, right?
Yeah, it's an initiation into
Because
a new level of reality.
I know whenever you care with the dead, it is a mitzvah that can't be repaid. So it is actually a special type of mitzvah.
Yeah,
because
well, mitzvahs mark transitions into a new state of being. So yeah, it is. I mean, when we cross the threshold of one plane to another, or even just observe and wake up from dreams, we're initiating into a new reality every day. That's why we keep calendars.
I don't think that, like, the reason time goes by so fast for most adults is because they're not processing things anymore. I feel that allowing your outer self to process things as new rather than allowing them to process as just these are mundane. I don't have to pay attention to them.
Oh, I
We-
agree with you 100%.
To
I
me-
know what you're saying, but go ahead.
Yeah. To me, if you get to that point where everything is just routine, you are going to start spinning by the world so fast that you miss everything else.
I totally agree. So actually, in the Golden Dawn, they teach, you know how they have the different grades? And they're like 110, 2, 9, 3, 8, and so on. And they converge talking about is dissipating the lens. And that's not good. And that's when you disconnect not only from outer, but inner. It inner illuminates outer. You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm trying to
Light
get at.
and dark. There has to be a yin and yang process, and to strive to achieve balance, not just as pagans, but I think that every religious belief encompasses a longing to achieve balance. With light there is dark, with dark there is light, with up there is down, with there's always polar opposites that meld into one in order to create a perfect harmony. And so I go back to the old Buddhist principles of yin yang, Taoist beliefs. I mean, I don't exclude any particular doctrine from anything that I believe. I incorporate it to what I do believe. And part of that, when you're talking about, like we were talking about earlier about microorganisms being from darkness, they prefer darkness, and then they are born into light. Or fungi, for instance, prefer the darkness also. But does that necessarily mean that they're innately dark? No.
No, but
They
I think
require
that
a certain degree.
I don't think that anything is purely anything that is of this earth. I don't think is purely born in light. I think
about man-made concepts about the universe rather than the actual scientific phenomena of what the universe is. I'm not like for me, I agree with Rain about light and darkness and balance. I think that when we refer to light in like a hermetic perspective, we are not referring to white light, like bright colors and things.
Right.
We are
We're talking
referring
about
to
energy and spirituality.
Yes, we are talking about energy, and shadow has its own wavelength of energy. It's just that our eyes don't see it.
Exactly. And when we come to that, let's talk about the jinn for a moment. The jinn
Mhm.
were born
Oh.
of flames. They were born of fire. They were innately born of fire. There's neither dark nor light there. But
No
both.
smoke.
I have something.
Smokeless fire.
Fade was saying earlier, we're putting a lot of emphasis on the Bible, and why not? That's where we all came from. That's where our roots are. So let's accommodate our audience and let's talk about the Bible. Let's not make this such a taboo subject.
I'm gonna tell you
Pagans,
how
though,
I
are
walked
referring. Sorry.
how I walked out of it. I walked out of it because I was missing ritual.
Hmm.
I needed some ritual bad. To me, we had one ritual that we did, which was after communion, we would give the communion back to the earth. Totally made sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
But then a new minister came and said that they could drink it, that the kids could drink it because it was just juice and shortbread. And I'm like, no, you have transferred this into a sacred item. You don't throw it amongst the kids.
Abraham, what do you think? You're coming from a Jehovah's Witness background. What are your thoughts on that?
Straight tyranny. I lived under a tyrannical regime controlled by 12 men. Women had no rights underneath them. They still don't. They control everything you think, everything you eat, everything you hear, what holidays or lack thereof you celebrate. No holidays. You're not special. You don't get a birthday. They turn you into an automaton.
One thing about that though, we can. I mean, I agree with all of you that we can discuss as pagans. We can discuss the Bible all we want because really, it's not an anti. It's not a matter of pagans versus Christians. It's just like It's the same reality that we're looking at here. And as pagans, we can discuss the same ideas and the same truth that any other religion would approach. So I agree with you on that. And I also agree that, you know, really it's ultimately humans usurping control and putting their own ideas on the truth. And when somebody takes away that sacredness because they think that only one being can be worshipped, that does create automatons. And
It
that's the
definitely does.
problem, is that it's not Christianity, it's the way humans have implemented religion.
So do claim a magical heritage.
Mhm.
You know, we follow the lineage of Egypt, Greece, Rome, Britain, and then America. You know,
Hmm?
and all of those have pagan beginnings,
They
They do.
and
And
as
see,
well.
so quickly we forget that pagan roots are the old ways.
Well, they
They
are.
really are.
And really, pagans are modern Samaritans to the monotheistic community. It's not that we don't worship in a legitimate way. We are just people that have been looked upon as less virtuous by a majority. It has nothing to do with our actual value. It's that a certain caste of religious worshipers, not just one, but a caste of many of them, have edged us out and said, okay, this form of worship is pagan, and pagan is therefore bad because pagan cannot be Christian because the Bible has been interpreted as this.
Say that Martin Luther, as a cloistered monk, spent 4 hours in confession. What was he talking about? What does a cloistered monk need 4 hours in a confessional to talk about?
Well, that aside, I mean, I see what you're saying. That is a pretty ascetic reality. There are some theories behind asceticism and what it can do for your consciousness. That aside, I see your point. There has to be perspective there, but you know,
But
that's-
as we've said, madness and divinity go hand in hand. You know,
They certainly do. There's a
well,
fine line.
any sort of extreme behavior is going to transport you to another state of consciousness. Is it healthy? I don't know, but
Well, you got to think back in the day, the expression "touched by God" and then someone was crazy.
yeah,
Oh, yeah.
Joan of Arc.
to me, it's, and that's what makes I think the socialized reality that we are not supposed to go outside the lines. You are not supposed to see things. And if you see things, you're not supposed to tell.
None of, well, the thing with Christianity, though, with the way their belief system is set up, if you even have a hint of any kind of clairvoyance or clairaudience or anything outside the bounds of Western society's normalcy, you will be ostracized and you will be pushed out.
And that's the key right there, is Western society, modern Western society. Not, it has nothing to do with what religion really believes. It has to do with how modern people interpret and enforce it.
They are ostracized, but they are also backdoor people. You know, people will say in front of our face horrible things, but then when stuff becomes real, then they're coming to our back door.
When it all comes down to it, they're going to reach to any person with wisdom or knowledge of something other when their reality starts falling apart.
Yeah, absolutely. My auntie Juanita, she was a curandera, and my family very much ostracized her for her beliefs, but they weren't her beliefs. She had a gift, and it was an innate gift. It was not something she asked for. It's just something that she possessed, and people would go to her for healings, for blessings, but let's not talk about that. That's a taboo subject.
Yeah, that's why I consider.
But they only come to us when they need something.
Because it needs to be talked about.
Yes.
To me,
it absolutely does.
And that's one of the things that bothers me is need. They need us. They are not willing to reciprocate. You know, they are not willing to really change our energy significantly, but they rather we spin the world on a top, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They seem okay and complacent with the idea of us in the outer role, the outer reaches of society, and it seems unfair. Yes.
And not only are we ostracized as pagans, as witches, but also as gay men.
Yes.
Gay men.
So
Yeah.
we've got double whammies. We gay men.
Amen.
Mary, Mariah, Whitney, Brittany, and Cher, gay men. I get it. But not that, but like we're ostracized. We've got double whammies going all over the place, every single which way. So to have awareness, to have this sense of awareness, and to achieve a sense of community is the best way we can possibly step up to the plate right now. So like this group right now is really doing wonders for my psyche personally. My phone is dying, so I'm gonna have to let you guys go for now.
But we're about to run out of time too. So this was our Brainiac session. We'll record our Q&A session later.
Okay.
My phone is